What's up everyone, welcome back to Kayaker's Kitchen, Cooking Made Easy. This week I want to give you a sick snack option, one of my favorite snack options for when you just come back from kayaking, maybe you're hanging out with your friends and you want something that's more healthy than just like opening a packet of crisps and something super easy to make and super cheap so you can save more money to go kayaking more frequently. This week's snack I'm making is veggie platter with homemade hummus. Super easy, a lot easier than it sounds, and a ton cheaper than buying hummus at the grocery store. So stay tuned. It's gonna be a good time. Okay. So first thing we're gonna do is prep our hummus. We're gonna need about 1 can of chickpeas, like a cup and a half. As always, if you're not sure, check out a recipe on Google. We're gonna need 2 tablespoons of tahini again. Make sure you get your measuring spoon so you don't make a mistake. You can make hummus without this stuff, but it's significantly better in my opinion with it, so always slam it in there. The recipe says we're going to need a teaspoon of cumin, and the recipe says 1 clove of garlic. I'm pretty into garlic, I think it's pretty good for you, and I'm gonna go a little harder on the garlic because I like that garlic flavor, and also because I think it's pretty healthy for you. So I'm gonna go 3 cloves of garlic here. I know I'm always like, follow the recipe, but I think the recipe does not allow for the right amount of garlic, and I want more garlic, so I guess follow your heart as well. You know, use your own judgment. That's kind of what I'm beginning at. You're gonna need some lemon juice. You can just use lemon juice again from a bottle, but it is a lot nicer if you can get some of that fresh lemon juice squeezed up in there without making too much of a mess. And then again, the recipe says to put 1/4 cup of oil in here. I'm not going to be doing that. I was reading recently, there's a bunch of studies that link oil to cancer. So I'm just gonna put about 1/4 cup of water in there, or maybe I'm gonna start with about 1/8 cup of water and then blend it up and see how it is. And if it needs a little bit more water, then I'm gonna put a little bit more water in, but I'm not gonna stress about it too much. So yeah, let's put that aside for a minute and we're gonna prep our vegetables. Veggies that we're gonna be dipping into our mix today, we're going to be doing some carrots, some broccoli, stay in there, and some cucumber. Pretty straightforward, pretty easy to deal with, but let me run you through in case you don't know. Let's start with this carrot. This guy is a monster. Cut the end off. That's probably the only bit we're not gonna eat. A lot of people are all about, oh, you gotta peel your carrots, you gotta peel your carrots. That's BS. A lot of the best nutrients are right here in the outside layers. So, like, when have you ever seen a rabbit like peeling a carrot before you eat it? So keep that in mind. We're gonna cut it into little sticks so you can like kind of dip it in your hummus and really get after it. So cut it in half. Put the flat part down so it doesn't move anywhere. Cut that about in half. Cut that about in half. And what you're aiming for ideally is little pieces about the size of your finger. That should be like a rough guideline. So whichever your fattest finger is, that should be a rough guide. Once you got into little sticks, doesn't have to be perfect, just kind of good enough. That bit's too small to eat that. Yeah, it's a good carrot. Can confirm. Take a look at all your pieces, make sure there's no super big pieces. This guy's like a little bit too chunky, so I'm just gonna make it into 2 pieces. Got 1 more carrot, we're gonna do the same thing too. As always, be careful of your fingers when you're cutting stuff. Next up, we've got a cucumber, kind of the same format as the carrots. This cucumber's been sitting in my fridge for a little bit, and you can see the end's like a little bit dry here. So what I'm gonna do is just take that end straight off and get rid of it. Just the same method with the carrot. I've gone in half. So now I'm gonna go into strips. Now I'm gonna make the strips about finger sized, more or less. See, I've gone diagonal cuts here on this guy, not just straight cuts. That's presentation. People are gonna be like super impressed with this. They're gonna be like, ooh, it looks so fancy. Keep that in mind, all right? Presentation, looks at everything. Lastly, I've got a broccoli. Broccoli is like one of my favorite vegetables to eat raw, but most people just eat this top part and they kind of disregard the stem or the stalk, whatever this part's called. You can eat this whole thing, and this whole thing is really delicious, and actually this part is where a lot of the nutrients of broccoli are. So this is kind of like the, you know, the bit people are like, oh yeah, broccoli, that's what they think of, but actually the healthiest part is this end part here. So we're gonna use the whole thing. I'm gonna show you how. We're gonna cut the stem off, put that to one side for a second. Then you're gonna make this into little trees. Easiest way to do that is just separate it at the lower levels, like where the little tree stems are nice and thin. You can break it up right with your hands. You can eat these leaves too, they're pretty delicious. Anyway, so I'm gonna bust this up with my hands. Until I get to this last guy. Take a little bit off there. Put that over to one side. If any of these bits are looking a bit too big, you can just halve them or cut them into fours or whatever. Just follow your heart. Remember, you're gonna be dipping them, right? So you wanna have a little bit of a handle, so you've got like a good scoop. Once you're happy you've busted up all the little trees, go back to that stem. This is really tasty. And just like with the cucumber and the carrots, we're gonna make it into little kind of finger-sized pieces. Nothing wasted with the broccoli, which is one of the things I like about it so much. Okay, so we've got our veggies set to one side. We'll go over to the blender in a minute. We'll blend our hummus. We'll take a look how that's looking. Then I'm gonna put this all together onto a plate. Okay, last thing we're gonna put in our hummus before we blend this guy, some salt, which I completely forgot to throw in a minute ago, and some pepper. Make sure your blender lid's on nice and tight. If you've got one of these stupid top loader blenders, give it a good little shake. And then you're gonna blend. You can see it start to blend up. My blender's not super powerful, so I'm gonna add a little bit more water to kind of help the blending process along. You don't want to add too much water too soon, because all that's going to happen is you just get like super wet, like watery, mushy hummus, and it's not fun to eat, it's not fun to dip, and it doesn't taste as good because you've diluted all the flavors, right? So when you're blending, it's better to do lots of short bursts and check it pretty frequently rather than just try and do one big long burst, because what happens is all the chickpeas and stuff are just gonna end up getting stuck to the side and the blender's gonna be going round and around. But if you do like more of a stop start, you'll get more like that, like a nice thick paste. Delicious. All right, last thing we're gonna do is plate this sucker up. So I said this last week, but plating your food and how you present it is super important to like how you want to eat it, and like a good looking plate of food is way nicer to eat than like a gross looking plate of, a pile. So although sometimes a pile is just quickest and easiest, if you take an extra second to like make your food look nice when it goes on the plate, you'll enjoy eating it quite a bit more. So first we're gonna put our hummus into a little bowl. Obviously, while you were blending your hummus, hopefully you were checking the flavor like I was. And if it needed to get more spices added or more garlic or whatever, then you had the opportunity to do that. Then, like I said, better to blend it with a bit less water than you think you need and then gradually add more. Because if you get like kind of too watery hummus, it really sucks. Look at that. I really love this snack because you can make hummus a bunch of different ways. You can put your own flavor in it. You can really experiment with it and be creative to make the best outcome for you or what you like, whether that's more garlicky or more spicy or less spicy or more smooth or less smooth. You can really play around with it and get whatever outcome you want to get, which is sick and about a quarter of the cost maybe of buying it in the shop. So there you have it. Great snack option for you. Give that a try. Let me know in the comments if you tried this one and you liked it, or if you're going to stick to buying hummus at the store and spending tons of cash and going kayaking less often. So you decide, but make your own food, kayak more, buy your own food, kayak less. I'll let you be the judge of which is better and which is worse for you. I will see you next week. Peace.